Welcome to a special edition of the Killer Countdown. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Casey Kelderman.
Blake Ginithan.
This is Blake. What's up?
What up?
That's taking a drink. Sorry. We are here on a special edition of the Killer Countdown because you know what? It's the end of the decade, start of a new one. We want a fresh start, a fresh beginning. We want to start this year off on a positive note. Yeah, so we are going to be talking about our personal top 10 favorite horror films of the last decade.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So this won't be a regular Killer Countdown.
No, we're not going to be stabbing. We're not going to be ranking. Well, I mean, I guess my movies are somewhat ranked, but these top 10 for me were the clear 10 movies that I liked the most. Maybe my top 2 is probably in order, but...
Yeah. I would say, yeah, I agree with that. My top 5 is probably my top 5.
Yeah.
But the rest, just movies that I had a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
And
we can bring up others, too, that we also liked.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
What did you think about the decade?
So the decade as a whole, is a very weird one. Looking back at what we had, because the movies that came out this decade, it was a very transitional decade, because we went from, and we kind of mentioned this on the last episode that we recorded, the 2019 episode.
Yeah.
About eras in horror, and the mid to late 2000s. Was very much the torture porn era, the Saw era. And then 2009, we saw the change with Paranormal Activity. And it kind of changed where the trajectory of horror was going. More independent films, more creator-based films.
Yeah, more visions, more singular filmmakers.
And I think that's what this decade will be remembered as. It won't be the studio horror. It'll be the independent horror. It'll be the creator-driven horror, the director-driven horror.
Do you think that has something to do with technology changing too?
Yeah, that everyone can make a movie pretty much. Yeah. I definitely agree. Yeah. I think that's part of the reason that.
Do you think it's better than last decade?
Than the one before it?
Right.
I don't even know. I would have to look at a list, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Probably by a long shot.
Yeah. I think horror hit like a. It hit like a creative lull last decade. You know, like it like you said, it was dominated by movies where people were egregiously torn apart and
remakes.
Yeah, remakes are a big thing, and there's no creativity. There was some there, but this decade
there always will be. Yeah.
This decade, I think, really stands out as some very, very unique films that have been released.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's gonna come down because I have a few on here that will be like the more mainstream or studio sequelized horror, but
okay. I
mean, my top couple here are sometimes first features. So yeah, I think that's cool. Like you said, it's that everyone can make a movie now.
Yeah. And
having a vision is what is driving this, has been driving this decade.
So we talked about independence and whatnot, but do you think Blumhouse how do you think their decade turned out? Do you think they had a huge impact on things?
I mean, they kind of owned this decade in horror.
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely changed the way we look at it now.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at, I would say Paranormal Activity, even though that was 2009.
But
kicked off
the
decade.
Sequels were in this decade.
Yeah,
so.
And it kind of kicked off it built the formula going forward for other studios to look at.
Yeah, cheap and effective.
Yep. And I would say to an extent A24 has kind of looked at that same model.
Yeah,
but more of.
But don't they purchase more than produce?
But it's also very low budget, creator driven stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It's we're pretty lucky right now to have A24 and to a lesser extent Blumhouse taking some risks on some interesting property.
Yeah, I would say within the last few years Blumhouse has become, hey, Universal has this, let's team up and do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And A24 is kind of like, we've seen this. We're gonna take a risk and buy it and put it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had this weird movie called Midsummer, and we'll put it out for you.
Yeah. Well, I think they produced that, but
yeah. So should we just kind of jump into this?
Yeah.
Start with. Do you have yours kind of ranked?
I do.
Like a 10 through 1?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just did that really quickly. So
yeah. I'll explain kind of how we'll run through the format. We each have a top 10 list. I'll start with my 10. Blake will do his 10.
Yeah, how do you want to do it if we have the same movie at a different spot?
Do you want to just hold off on the conversation
We can do that.
and just say, hey, I have it higher? We'll talk about it then.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, perfect.
Let's do that, and then at the end we'll throw out a few honorable mentions too.
Yeah. Well, and maybe we can talk about some of the big movies that if they didn't make our list.
If we didn't talk about it, yeah.
Because there's 3 movies that I can think of that are not on my top 10, not in my top 20 that I think we need to talk about.
Okay, I know one of them, so we'll talk about it.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to kick it off?
I can kick it off. At number 10, I have Hereditary.
Okay. Higher.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that higher on my
Okay.
list. My number 10 then. I wanted a fun one here, just because I thought this movie is a blast to watch, kind of. Terrifier.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Terrifier, Art the Clown. I had a blast. I've seen this movie twice now. I've had a blast watching it both times. This is just a throwback to grimy, gross 80s gore-filled horror films. It's very thin on plot, very thin on acting and character, but has a very memorable villain.
Yeah.
And
have you seen the first movie?
No. The All Hallows Eve.
Yeah.
I have not.
Okay.
No. It's that's kind of a. It's a different actor, and it's a.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It's a different.
Okay.
Yeah. Iteration of the same character, I guess, but. Before the second one comes out, I plan on watching All Hallows Eve.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
Terrifier
Yeah.
2. But yeah, I think this movie is just a fun throwback, and Art the Clown is. I love Art the Clown. I think he's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
So the movie is basically it's Halloween night. These two college age girls are out partying, and they end up at this restaurant,
Pizza shop.
Yeah. And across from them is this just creepy looking clown with grease makeup and everything, and he's kind of flirting with one of the girls and. Gives her flowers and all the traditional clown stuff. And the other girl takes a selfie with him and kind of tries to be buddy with him, but the clown gets kicked out of the pizza store for destroying their bathroom. And then the girls end up at a warehouse, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a very weird convenience that they had this warehouse available. I'm sure is why they shot in it. But yeah, she ends up in a warehouse, and Art the Clown starts chasing after.
Yeah.
With a lot of crazy gore effects.
Yeah.
Including a woman hung up upside down.
I don't want to be that person who's like, I have a problem with violence against women, but this movie really skirts that. That woman, that poor woman gets...
I don't condone it, but I don't think it was malicious.
It's very inspired killing. Yeah.
I don't think it's malicious.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. It's a fun little movie. Like you said, great gore effects. The classic is he dead sequence at the end of the movie. Yeah. I liked it. Not top 10 of the decade for me, but yeah, I had fun watching it.
Yeah, I just wanted a fun one here. I didn't It's not.
I do have a fun one later coming up. So.
It's not one that it's yes, this was the most prestigious horror film. I needed a fun one, and it's I don't think I'll look at my list here. I don't have any other slashers on here, and we haven't gotten a lot.
Okay.
Traditional slasher.
Yeah.
So I wanted to include it, and it's probably my favorite slasher of the decade.
Really? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, fascinating.
All right, that was my number 10 then.
My number 9.
Yes.
Grave Encounters.
Hell yes. Honorable mention on mine.
Okay. Grave Encounters is found footage. A crew, you see those shows, the Ghost Hunter shows on
Ghost Adventures.
Yeah,
Zach Bagans.
Yeah, it's one of those where this crew goes into this old mental hospital. Mm-hmm. I think it's a real. I think it was a real place.
Yep.
And they're there to like either debunk or find ghosts or whatever, and it turns out that they found the right place. I love.
But it's all set up that they're setting it up. They're trying to make it a reality TV show.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love how this movie plays with time and how it locks them in this place. And this was like, I first watched this about 7 or 8 years ago, and I've watched it a few times after, and it gets me every time. I love the scares in this. I love how it sets up this impending doom, and I think the acting is good. It's just a fun little found footage movie that unfortunately had a terrible not a remake, but a sequel. Maybe not even a terrible sequel, just like it's great until the ending where it turns into something completely different.
Yeah, well, I just watched the sequel like a few days ago.
I actually thought it was a really effective movie until something happens, but
we can spoil it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, but the first Grave Encounters I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I wholly agree. I love Grave Encounters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it probably. When did it come out?
2013, 2012.
12. I probably watched it right after that.
Yeah.
When it first came on Netflix or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And then I watched it again this year because my fiance had never seen it, and I kept mentioning it, like Grave Encounters.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
You're gonna love that movie, and she loved it. And finally, she's been begging for the last 3 months. Can we watch the second one? Can we watch the second one? Finally, I'm like, all right, we'll watch the second one.
Had you seen it before?
The second one, yeah.
Okay.
We watched Grave Encounters back to back.
Okay.
Back when they came out. But yeah, the second one's not good at all. It's really bad.
There's nothing you like about it.
There is one. We let's get into it. Spoilers for Grave Encounters too. So Grave Encounters follows this movie reviewer, YouTube reviewer, as he looks to debunk the first film.
Yep.
But he finds out that it was it actually happened though too, because the host is still living
in the hospital
and has been stuck there since the first movie came out. I think one sequence. First of all, it takes a half hour for them to get to there, and that's way too long because I don't like any of who cares about the characters. Get to the location, and get it on with, and that's what the first one does. Boom, we're at the location. We're starting this thing.
Yeah.
The one sequence I like is that they're like, all right, we've escaped, and they hopped in the elevator. They're in the car. They hop in the elevator and in the car. They're out. They're out of the place. They drive back to their hotel. They get in the elevator, come down. The door is open. They're back in the basement. I love that.
Yeah.
Because it's again the time loop. You think you're out when you're actually still in.
Yeah.
I think that was the best thing in the movie. The whole aspect of the only way for you to actually get out is to finish a movie. I'm like, why did Ghost want you to make a movie?
Yeah.
I thought it was just really lazy.
The twist at the end is very jarring for me, and
the ghosts want you to make a movie.
Yeah. I just remember there being a lot of fun sequences in it that I really enjoyed, but that ending is an all-time what the hell thing. But
Not great.
the first one I really like a lot. So
first one's a blast.
Yeah.
And the scares are good.
The scares are legit.
Scares are good.
Yeah.
All right, so that was what? Your number
9?
9. All right, so my number 9 then. Little low for some other people, I think, here. Jordan Peele's Get Out.
Okay. That was one that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
But go ahead.
It has to be on the list, I think.
Spoilers, it does not have to be on the list.
We talked about it on our 2019 episode. I like Us more than Get Out, and I think you said you did too.
Yep.
But I think Get Out is maybe the most important horror movie of this decade.
I would agree.
And I think it should be on the list somewhere because I still really loved it. But Get Out, everybody has seen it. We don't need to talk about the plot. But I think it's just super important that we get this movie now. Because Jordan Peele is now the voice in horror for at least mainstream audiences.
He's mainstream, yeah. Yep.
And I think that's important for the genre to still have someone like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I can't even think who would have been the last person that would have been a mainstream person like that. I mean, he gets compared to Craven
Eli
and Carpin.
Roth, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. But was that mainstream?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There probably hasn't been someone.
The bros
like
loved
this.
Hostel, man.
Yeah, the bros do love Hostel.
Yeah.
But Get Out.
Yeah, Get Out is I don't like Get Out. I mean, it's fine. It's maybe not made for me though either. I remember my friend Andre texted me after he saw it. He's like, "Have you seen Get Out?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "That is exactly what it's like for me to go to all my white friends' house. You know, like that's kind of what I get the feeling, you know, and so I can't, you know, talk down against that sort of perspective. This is like, from a cultural standpoint, this movie was huge. Whether you agree with the current administration, like, you can't deny that this movie coming out a month after the inauguration and its political
messages. And
yeah, like, it's hard to deny that thing was just like, it was lightning in a bottle. You can't
replicate it.
You can't.
Yeah.
And this movie made $200 million,
at least,
something like that,
more
on
than
like a
that. I think it's
$5
more
million
than that, yeah.
budget. I mean, I remember being in Paris a few months after it came out, and we were walking in the metro station, and there was a poster for this movie that had to be like 20 feet long and, you know, 10 feet high. It was massive, you know, it was black and white, and they had Daniel Kaluuya's face in it, and so, like, it was his black face against a black background with his white eyes, like, looking like, I have a picture on my Facebook. I'll have to send it to you when we're done. But this movie is huge. You know, it still is. It's still very culturally relevant, and it probably will be for you know, a few years yet. And so this is one of the 3 movies that I was talking about. Like, it didn't make my list. I didn't care for it too much, but it's hard to deny just how important this movie is to not only the culture, but also the genre itself.
Yeah, this is...
It won a screenplay nom. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor. I mean, like, this is a big movie.
It's a big movie in the genre. Yeah, the biggest movie of the decade in the genre. Yeah, I think it's a very important film. It's a film that I go back to, and what I love with horror, and we mentioned it in our 2019 episode, is that you can have these
you can,
cultural aspects and social undertones.
Yeah,
and Get Out does that great, and I love going back to the movie and figure out what does this mean? What is Jordan Peele trying to say here? Or going to YouTube and even saying, what do you think this meant, and stuff, and watching videos on it. And I think there's so much to unpack that you don't catch the first time you watch it, because when I watched it the first time, it was pretty much straightforward. All right, they're putting brains in different bodies, and he's trying to get out. Yeah, I caught the racial undertones.
See, I saw it way after the hype, so maybe that might have something to do with it, but...
Yeah, I caught it opening
weekend. Did you?
Yeah, I was like, Jordan Peele making a horror movie. Sweet. Let's do it.
Cool.
Yeah. Get Out, my number 9 then. I love the movie.
I can't speak ill about it.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Get Out. My number 8. This is easier instead of, like, choosing cards, isn't it? My number 8, I don't know if you have higher or not, is Mandy.
Honorable mention.
Ooh, all right.
I love Mandy.
Okay.
I do love it.
Mandy. Panos Cosmatos.
Best name ever. I love it.
This movie, I would classify this movie as, like, I don't enjoy watching it, but I respect the fact that it exists. Nicolas Cage plays... I don't even know his name in the movie, but he plays this guy who cuts down trees, and he lives with his wife Mandy in the forest. And one day, a cult leader who's played by Linus Roach, who's really good in the movie, sees her and says, "I want her." And the kidnapper, with, like, these Cenobites on motorcycles who come in, and
drugged out of their
minds. They end up killing Mandy, and Nicolas Cage goes on this violent revenge tale. And it might sound like it's a very original or unoriginal idea, but it's how it's made that really counts. Panos has a very set style. It's very slow, very methodical, very fantastical. Mm-hmm. Have you seen Beyond the Black Rainbow? I
have not.
Beyond the Black Rainbow is in the same vein, where it's a lot of really interesting production design, very cold atmosphere, very distant, very slow and sludgy. But you can't deny how stylized and how well it's made. And this is the same way. A little bit more pink to this movie, a little bit more neon. The other one's more, I don't know, like, manufactured. But man, like this just seems like this seems like a horror fan's dream come true. There's so much in here. There's giant chainsaws. Like I said, there's Cenobites on motorcycles. They're not Cenobites, but like that's the closest thing that I can think of.
Yeah.
There's cults. There's tigers in this. This is basically like if a Judas Priest album cover came to life.
Yeah.
And
no one else could have been in this movie but Nicolas
and no one else
Cage.
could have directed it.
Yeah. Lightning in a bottle.
I might almost like Beyond the Black Rainbow more, but like how this movie exists is beyond me, and that's why it's in my top 10 as opposed to Rainbow.
Yeah,
so.
this was on my honorable mentions. I love this is like I love Nicolas Cage like unabashedly. Like I understand he's a crazy person and makes a lot of bad decisions in terms of what movies he's in, but what I respect is no matter what movie it is, he'll give it his 110%.
Yeah.
And this movie is where I think Nicolas Cage works best. Is you give him a crazy concept, let him go full Cage. Yeah. And there's one shot in this movie where he's fighting one of the guys that he's going after, you know, in his act of revenge, and he sees this big mound of cocaine and like throws it in his face and takes it.
Isn't it like
or like sticks his face?
But isn't it also it's been they've done something to the cocaine, haven't they?
Yeah.
Like they've spiked it with some sort of like demon blood or something or other.
And Cage takes it and he's like just full of like energy after
that. Yeah, there's so
great,
much great stuff in this movie.
Great bathroom scene with Cage freaking out. Oh, I love double wielding chainsaws. Oh my god, this movie's great.
There's so much to this movie. Yeah,
it's so great. Cheddar Goblin is awesome too.
I forgot about the Cheddar Goblin.
Cheddar Goblin's awesome. So I love Mandy.
Very cool.
Yeah, very nice. That was what, your number 8?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. I'm glad that's on here. My number 8 is Adam Wingard's You're Next.
Oh.
Yes, You're Next. Taking the home invasion thriller genre and flipping it on its head. So I know a lot of people bring up the comedy stuff in this, which I don't, I can see it, but I don't think it's a straight up comedy like a lot of people do. Yeah. This is very much, I love movies that will take your expectations of how a movie is supposed to go, especially within a certain genre, like a home invasion movie, and flips it on its head, where the victim is now the one chasing the ones trying to get in the house. Like, I'm blanking on her name in the movie, but the main character in this movie shows up to with her boyfriend to a family gathering, family get together, and the home is invaded by guys in sheep masks and other animal masks. And they try to get in, but they realize that she is much more of a formidable threat than they thought, because she has been trained by her father, who is in the military and traveled everywhere around the world and trained in self-defense. So she knows how to defend herself through the entire film. And I love the twists and turns it takes. I love the characters that it brings in. Yeah, I think it's a perfect... I like this group of actors. And the director and writer all together, Simon Barrett and Adam Wingard and Ty West, and just that group of guys. I like what they put out, and I like that they work together, because I think it always works out pretty well. But yeah, You're Next, I think, is probably my favorite Wingard movie so far, even more than The Guest.
Wow.
Yeah, I think within I thought for a while he was the guy for this decade, and then it's kind of dropped off a little bit in the last few years with the Blair Witch movie and Death Note. So he needs a comeback. Hopefully Godzilla's that for him, but I think Your Next is fantastic.
Interesting. I have interesting. I think we've talked about my journey with Your Next. Mm-hmm. I had a ticket to see it in Toronto at their film festival in 2011, and I had seen it was like my 4th day at the festival. And I was seeing like 4 to 5 movies a day, and like was just exhausted. And I had this ticket to Your Next, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait for this home release. Or when it gets released theatrically. I'm tired. I want to go back to my hotel, take a nap. Turns out the movie got put through release schedule hell for 3 or 4 years, and I didn't get to see it. And so when I finally did see it, I was kind of like, oh. Is that it? Like, so I don't have the same reaction you do. I admire a lot about it, but it doesn't hit me the same way you do. I might need a rewatch of this, but I too love all the people in it, I still to this day have a crush on Amy Seimetz. I will watch anything that she is in.
Barbara Crampton's in
Barbara
it.
Crampton's in it.
I thought that's where you were going.
Nope. Nope. I'm all in on Amy Seimetz.
All right.
Love her to death. Yeah, I need to rewatch this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just a blast to watch.
There's some great kills in it.
Great kills, and I love the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the song that opens the movie too. Something about magic.
Yeah, I just love the movie. It's a ton of fun. It's a blast. Yeah, this group of guys, like, I think just work. They have some name to them. I think like the Splat Pack or something. I think it's something like that.
Something like that.
Funnily enough, my next one kind of falls in there.
Oh, my next one does not.
Does not. All right, what do you got for your number 7?
7. Paranormal Activity 3. This is. It's not even close. This is far and away the best Paranormal Activity movie.
Agreed.
This is... where are we at? Let me look at my list here. This is probably the last movie before my number 1 that truly terrified me. Watching it, like, legit scared me. This is, like, one of the perfect movies to play late at night. You're in your house alone. Lights are out. Crank your sound up. There's so many great scares in this. I believe this is a prequel to the first 2. Yep. Takes place in the 80s. The way that they are able to get scares out of, how do I say this? Like, using kids, like imaginary friends or what are the games kids play, like
Bloody Mary?
Yeah, but what are those called? They're
like urban legends.
Stories. Thank you. Yeah. That's exactly what I was looking for. So as we talk about they play Bloody Mary at one point, and the ghost plays along, and that leads to a terrifying sequence. There's a great sequence where the camera is oscillating back and forth, and every time it switches back to the kitchen, something changes. Man, and the ending of the movie, I think adds a new level to the story, which, depending on whether you like your movies to go a little off the rails, I love it when movies kind of go off the rails. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I thought the new twist on everything was great. This movie scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, this is the best Paranormal Activity movie, period. Yeah. And the scares are genuine. For me, like, one thing I really love in the horror genre is urban legends. I think because Blair Witch is one of, if not my favorite horror, like, one of my top 10, at least, favorite horror movies because of the urban legend stuff in it. And I think I love what it does with the Bloody Mary and bringing in their own version of that. And imaginary friends is always terrifying with kids. Like... Yep. Personal note, my youngest brother, he had an imaginary friend as a kid, and he's like, oh, he's sitting in the room. Like, he would say shit like this, and it would terrify me. He's like, oh, he's sitting right next to you. I'm like, better not be. And then you ask him about it now, and he has no recollection of it. And that's
how old was he when he had an imaginary friend?
2, 3.
Oh, okay.
So very young.
Yeah.
So enough to forget it, but still, that stuff terrifies me. So this is right up my alley, and I love Paranormal Activity 3.
Good.
Yeah. All right, so that was your number 7. My number 7, Creep.
I have not seen this yet.
Yep. So we're going back to back with some found footage films. Creep is one of my favorite ones of all time, and we talked about it on our found footage episode. 2 guys, 1 camera, all it takes. Literally, it's 2 guys, 1 camera. Patrick Brice, Mark Duplass.
Is it the sequel to 2 Girls, 1 Cup?
Yes,
okay.
It is. Lots of that in it. Again, I bring up Mark Duplass. He falls within the same kind of mumblecore group with the rest of them. Yep. From your next, but Creep is such a simple movie. It is about this documentary videographer, and he gets this like white pages call from this guy. He is on his deathbed. He wants to give his final testament to his wife and kid, and he wants the videographer to record it all. Give this is how I live my life. This is what I'm doing. Don't be sad that I'm leaving and stuff like that. But you soon realize that's all a facade. It's none of that is actually happening, and this guy is just crazy. It's not even his house that they're at in this movie. So, yeah, just the descent for Mark Duplass. Mark Duplass crushes in this movie too, and I'm sure it's very much no script to this movie. Very much the two guys riffing off each other and kind of have a basic idea of what the structure and story is going to be. But I'm sure there was probably no script, and they kind of just did what they thought they could do in certain scenes. And there's great use of the found footage genre too, because there is a scene where this isn't a spoiler. The Mark Duplass character doesn't want it recorded, so he puts the cap back on the camera, but the audio is still running. So for about 2-3 minutes for a scene, you just hear the audio, and it's just a black screen running. And it's a very good use of the found footage genre. I think Creep 2 is just as good. Adds another level to the story as well. And I'm ready for Creep 3 now. Continue doing this series. I love it. And Mark Duplass crushes in this movie. He's legitimately scary. Yeah. So Creep, my number 7.
I'll have to check this out sometime. Is it still on Netflix?
I would assume so. It's been on there forever.
Yeah.
And
they have like their staple of horror movies that just never leave.
They just never leave, yeah. I think both Creep 1 and Creep 2 are still on Netflix. So
cool.
I would, highly recommend it for both.
I need to check that out.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 6, I think it's going to be higher in your list.
Okay.
It's The Conjuring.
Yes.
It's higher?
Okay. Yeah, a little higher.
Okay.
A little higher. My number 6 then is from my favorite director of the decade, Mike Flanagan. But I'm going to go with... There's so many options to go with this guy.
Do you have one that's singled out?
I put Oculus because that was my introduction to him.
I think
was Oculus.
That's the best that I've seen him do yet.
Okay.
Other than the Haunting of Hill House.
I think that's his peak so far. I still think that is the best thing. If I could put it on here, I would put it on here.
You think that's the best thing he's done this decade?
He's done this decade. Even more than Dr. Sleep.
Okay.
Even more than Dr. Sleep. Oculus is such a interesting, simple movie because I love...
Have you seen the short it's based off of?
I have not. I should watch the short.
Really
no,
good.
I have not seen
really
the
good.
short. I went into this movie into the theaters. I went in completely blind, knew nothing about it. Thought creepy mirror movie. That looks kind of cool. Let's go watch it. Completely blown away by it though. Performances are fantastic. The use of what's reality and what's not is so good in this movie. So it's basically this brother and sister, when they were children, their mother kind of went crazy, and their father, the father killed her. I haven't watched this movie in a long time.
I don't remember.
Anyway, the mom dies. The brother ends up in a asylum or rehabilitation center, whatever. And the sister is out on her own. But the brother eventually gets out 10 years later. The sister picks him up, but she has this plan. Hey, I know I've been figuring out what actually happened when we were kids. It was this mirror that Dad bought and was in our house, and we need to destroy the mirror. We have to go back to where this all happened. So they go back to the house. She sets up this very elaborate plan with safe holds in it to destroy this mirror. She has backup plans if that doesn't work, and if the mirror does something that she hasn't planned, she has a final plan to just destroy the mirror. So basically it uses present day and past day. It mixes the two. You never know if it's still reality or if it's a flashback, what is really happening. And yeah, I love this movie. I think it's fantastic. I think Mike Flanagan is such a visionary director, and seeing this as his introduction to mainstream audiences, it's a perfect introduction and perfect foundation to what we get from him in this entire decade.
Yeah, this and Absentia are my favorite movies of his. So
that is the only one I have not seen yet.
Yeah.
I actually love all his movies. There's not a bad one in the bunch.
I don't think he's made a bad movie, but I really haven't been knocked out by anything he's done. I have not seen Dr. Sleep yet, but he's one of those.
Seen Hush and
Hush didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I liked Hush a lot. Before I Wake was good.
I've not seen that one. I heard it was bad, so I stayed away. I've not seen
that. Was just stuck in development or release hell for forever, and I think that was a big problem.
So
I think it's good. Yeah.
Okay, and
Jacob Tremblay is really good in the movie too.
What's the other one that he did? Oculus is good. Why am I blanking on the other movie he did? Hush.
Oh, Gerald's Game?
Gerald's Game was okay.
Gerald's Game's good.
I haven't, like, the only thing that's really knocked me out
Ouija?
is... Yeah, that was what I wanted to bring up, was the Ouija sequel. I have not seen that one either. So
I think it's really good.
yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah, I'm waiting to be completely bowled over by Flanagan. I think he's talented. I think he's very good.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
But,
so I love all his movies, but I don't think any of them are what I would consider a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Because I think he has it in him.
I don't like throwing that word around, period.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, would be his masterpiece.
Yeah, what's his magnum opus? I think so far it's Haunting a Hill House, and if that's it, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
That series is fantastic.
It's very good, yeah.
I think it might be my favorite thing of the decade, period, television or film.
Favorite thing of the decade?
Like visual, like a movie or TV series.
Doesn't matter genre or anything.
Doesn't matter. Haunting a Hill House blew me away.
Yeah, it's good. I remember watching it and just being like on a technical level, it's so well made, especially episode 6, which is still just a stunning episode of television.
The one-shot episode.
Well, yeah, it's a few shots, but yeah,
I think it's 3.
It's so
Something
good.
like that?
It's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
He had to be on this list.
Yeah.
Period. For me, he had to be on the list, and I couldn't put Haunting a Hill House because it's technically television series.
Yeah.
So I had to include something on here. So I think Oculus was
okay.
It's still one
Yeah.
of.
No,
I think Dr. Sleep is too recent for me.
I thought about that too. Where
list.
like, oh, Mike Flanagan's probably like, I know I just kind of like slightly talk shit about him, but he's still like the prominent horror guy for me this decade. As far I can't think of anybody. Maybe James Wan also has a shout at that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm fine with him. Being mentioned because I think he deserves to be there.
He should just do every Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah, he seems like he understands where horror gets people.
And he understands like source material really well.
Yeah, he's a great talent.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that is my number 6, Oculus.
My number 5, we've both talked about before. We both love, I think.
Okay.
The Invitation.
The Invitation.
You don't have it on your list?
Not on the list.
Okay.
Honorable mention.
Wow, Karen Kuzma is becoming maybe one of my favorite current filmmakers right now. She is, with this and last year's Destroyer, she's making some really fascinating movies. The Invitation, I'm going to talk very briefly about because I don't want to ruin what happens in the movie. Basically, Logan Marshall Green and his wife, girlfriend, fiance. I don't know if they say what it is.
I think they're fiance.
He's invited to a party by his ex-wife in the Hollywood Hills, and they don't know why they're going there. And it turns out she and her new husband went to like some retreat somewhere, and they just want to spread the good word about this place and what it does to help people. And they're showing them a video and they're having drinks.
Like a self-help group.
Like a self-help group thing, yeah. And so the entire time, Logan Marshall Green has like these really weird interactions with other people, and where do I go from here?
You don't know if it's you're trying to figure out
why he's there,
and if he is the one you should be scared of.
Right.
It's a very unreliable narrator type of story.
And you don't know if he is not to be trusted or what,
or if what he is seeing is actually
right.
Yeah.
And
it's very hard for a movie to ride that line.
Yeah, right. And but what's nice about what The Invitation does so well is like it rides that line for so long because the pacing is so deliberately slow. And so it just builds, and it's kind of like if you were to like have a spring in front of you and you were just pressing down on that spring very slowly, for an hour and 10 minutes, and you're just pressing down on the spring, and all of a sudden you just release the spring. And that's what the movie is. Like, it's just like the spring is constantly being compressed and the tension's there. It's mounting, and all of a sudden it's just released. And it turns into this extremely violent and horrific, apocalyptic ending. I mean, I don't want to ruin what happens. The final shot of the movie.
Is
like
might be the best just of the decade.
So
period.
good.
It's so good.
And that comes down to how good of a director Kusama is, and she's kind of like turning into like this Catherine Bigelow-esque filmmaker, where like Catherine Bigelow understands muscles and muscular filmmaking, and Kusama gets that. She understands how to be tough and how to be like how to portray that on screen. Like her film itself is like this big muscle flexing, and like it's so rare even for a male director to get that she gets it, and I can't wait to see what she does next. Like this is a very well done horror movie.
Yeah, I agree. Like this was on my honorable mention, just didn't quite make the list, but yeah, I love this movie. Yeah, that final shot, my mouth was agape.
You got to stick with it. Like I get that it's slow, but trust me, just get through the first hour and you'll be okay.
I don't even know if it's something to get through because I was intrigued the entire time because you're from the opening you're wondering what's happening. Why is he here?
There's definitely lots of sequences where you're like, that was really weird.
Yeah. Like what's happening?
Yeah, who's this guy? Why is this guy here? Like, why did the guy just say that to him? Like, what's happening? And Green, who I think is like the
better Tom Hardy.
The better Tom Hardy. He really sells the movie. Like, you really get in his headspace of like what's really happening here, and you don't know until it happens. And is it John Carroll Lynch? Oh my God, he's so good in this movie. The guy who fights and
I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a terrific movie.
Couldn't agree more. All right. That was what? Your number 5?
Yes.
All right. My number 5, one you brought up earlier, The Conjuring.
All right.
So James Wan's The Conjuring. One of the few films from this decade that I can say genuinely scared me.
Yeah. As far as I know, this is the first movie ever to be rated R just for being scary. I've never seen that before.
No blood, no guts, no swearing, none of that. Just for being terrifying.
It is just scary, yes.
Which, don't know if that's warranted.
You don't think it is? I think I actually think this is an R-rated movie. Like,
really?
This movie is intense.
Oh, it is very intense. The Conjuring is about this family that goes into this brand new house, brand new family, and they soon realize that the house is haunted. Very simple premise. Very simple, but I think it helps with an all-star cast, for one. Introducing the Warrens helps too. And James Wan just being a master of building suspense and terrifying sequences.
There's so many great sequences in this movie.
What's your favorite?
I mean, the clap is obviously great. There's a sequence where they're like in the kitchen, and the way it's directed, it misdirects all of the scares. That
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Scared the hell out of me.
I have one where it's the two girls, they are lying in bed, and one of the girls who has glasses, she couldn't see anything during the night, and her sister right next to her, she's like, there's someone standing in the corner of the room. She's right behind, like just the building of the tension, and you see nothing, you just hear her talk, saying what she sees. And that's terrifying. Yeah. James Wan is so, like, Mike Flanagan is, like, I think those are probably the two guys of this decade, because we're getting to Ari Aster and Rob Eggers and Jordan Peele, but they've only had 2 movies each.
Yeah.
I think with an overall collection of their movies from the decade, I'm not going to argue if people say James Wan's the best of the decade. I have 2 of his movies on my list. But the way he builds tension is like none other. Like the clap scene is so good.
Yeah.
Just the shot of the wardrobe, like, yeah.
This is like James Wan built like his own funhouse of ghosts, and like you're walking through it, and there's little tricks and setups to all these great scares, and it's all warranted.
Yeah, it's never gimmicky. Yeah. It's all about how the scares relate to the characters in the movie.
Yeah.
Because if you're with the characters, you're with the scares then. I think he does that very well. Yeah, The Conjuring has then since built a very big franchise that we've now got like 6 sequels or prequels or whatever
Right.
to.
Right.
But I think the first one is still by far the best out of the series.
Yeah.
I think 2 is very, very, very good.
Number 2 is tied with me for the first. I thought that 2 was very effective as well.
I think the 2 falls into what spinoff can we make next a little bit too much. But I think, this is still the best use of the Annabelle doll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's had 3 movies now already.
Yeah.
So I think, James Wan knew what he was doing, what he was trying to build, and I think first and foremost, characters are a big thing in horror movies. You got to get those right. I think he does a very good job of making you relate to the family, and then also the Warrens once they're introduced. So I think it's just a big, very good cast in this movie.
I think I just want to single out Vera Farmiga, who I think is wonderful.
She's dynamite in these movies. Yeah. I like, say what you will about Warrens in real life and what might have happened and might not have happened.
I don't know what really
about them. They're kind of scam artists.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say fully. I mean, depends on what you believe in ghosts and spirits and all that. Sure. But with how many cases they had and now making movies about them, I think that it was a little little fishy. Yeah, a werewolf and other monsters. But I'm not taking away from Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga in these movies.
Or Lily Taylor. I think she's great too.
She's really good in this movie. Yeah. And then who plays the dad?
Is it?
Oh,
it's not Frank Whaley, is it?
No. God, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but I think this movie it's something that the franchise has taken on. This is the Warrens franchise.
Ron Livingston.
Yep. But I wish we could. I want to see them back. I'd like to see.
I think they've gone through enough.
That family?
Yes.
I
think they've gone through enough.
Yeah, probably. But I wouldn't mind seeing them back. Just because I like those characters and those actors altogether.
Yeah.
So that's my number 5 then, The Conjuring.
Very cool.
You had it at
6.
6? Okay. Your number 4?
My number 4. I don't know if you've seen this movie.
Okay.
A Cure for Wellness.
I have not.
This movie is very far from perfect. It's very sloppy. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes long, 2 hours and 30 minutes long. It's very long, needlessly long. It's way too long. But they're like, God bless Gore Verbinski for just having the guts to make a movie like this. This is basically like a Hammer movie made today. Is it Dane DeHaan or okay? He plays this corporate guy who he's kind of like moving up the ladder at where he works, and his boss goes to Europe for like this retreat where they supposedly you go here and you become like 20 years younger, 30, like literally you become a lot younger and no one knows why. Anyway, he's told that he needs to go get his boss because otherwise if they don't, like, some sort of deal does not get made and the company could go under. So he has to go to Europe to get his boss back to this spa retreat in the I think it's in Austria or Germany or Switzerland, and the place is run by Jason Isaacs, who is like really creepy in this movie. And so he goes to the spa and he has to find his boss, and everybody's like, oh yeah, he's over here, and then like he goes there and it's like, oh yeah, he just left, you just missed him. And then like, so he's getting the runaround and then he falls and like breaks his leg. Oh hey, by the way, we can help you with that. And slowly like he starts succumbing to what happens at this place, and I'm not going to reveal too much of what happens because a lot of the twists along the way are kind of cool and interesting. But it's this old school horror movie that combines like gore and monster stuff and mythology stuff, and like he has nightmares and he doesn't know what reality is. There's all these. It's way too ambitious for what it should be doing. Like I said, it's way too long, but I find myself very entranced whenever I watch this movie, and I can't think of another horror movie that came out this decade that's like it, and that's why it's number 4 for me.
Yeah.
I highly recommend this movie.
Yeah, I haven't got around to it.
It's
I have the movie.
and knowing who Gore Verbinski's background, it's gorgeous. It is like the production design is amazing. The cinematography is very well done. I don't think you'll find too many scares in it. Mm-hmm. It's just a bloody, messy movie.
That's what we love in horror.
That's what we love.
Yeah.
There's a great sequence where he goes into like a deprivation tank full of water, and all these eels start appearing and swing around him, and like he thinks it's happening, and then he's like, "Oh, this isn't happening," but like, is it really happening? And there's so many great sequences like that in this movie.
All right, that's what your number 4.
Number 4.
All right, my number 4. Another movie you brought up earlier, Hereditary.
Ooh.
Yes. Ari Aster's Hereditary.
Yeah, I think this is a very important movie in this decade too.
I think so too. Go ahead. You can.
Well, this is the first movie that I've ever watched that I can remember watching, and then when it ended, I was like, "That's an evil movie." Like this is like evil on a level like I've never experienced before. Like. I feel like this movie hates its character, like, and I mean this in a good way. Like this movie is like manufactured to hate its characters and put them through the absolute worst. I think what helps is that it's built on like this family drama first, and then goes into horror, or maybe the whole thing's horror, but like the last 15 minutes is legitimately horror stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm wrong or out of line by saying that. Where's the Oscar nomination for Toni Collette? I mean, she's fantastic in this movie. She goes to the ringer in everyone goes to the ringer in this. Man, this is just it. This is what I want from horror movies. It's just to be completely gutted and drained of my energy.
Yeah. Did you see this in the theater?
No, I did not.
Okay. So I went to this in the theater, and when that scene happens about a third of the way into the movie, it was silent the rest of the movie. After that light post happens.
Yeah.
I know
what you're talking about.
Yeah, it is silent the rest of the movie, and you just feel sick the entire time. And I did so I'm gonna say I loved it, but I didn't love it because I felt gross and sick after that. Because you
love that sequence, you mean?
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, I love that they take that chance and what it does for the story. And you feel it.
I will say. I don't like one shot later on involving that, but
right after the scene ends.
No, there's a shot that they cut back to. It's hard to say without ruining.
30-second spoiler for Hereditary.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't like that they show her head sitting there later on with bugs on it. I thought that was very.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, it was very. I thought it was kind of irresponsible in a way.
Do I think it's necessary? No, but do I understand why it's there?
Like it feels very manipulative.
Yeah, in a way.
I
think it's needed for what the ending
is. I don't think it's needed.
But what you get in the ending?
I suppose.
In the treehouse? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such it's an evil movie, isn't it?
That's the only way I can describe it. It's an evil movie.
And I don't want to say it's a malicious movie because it's definitely not evil to its audience. It's evil to what's happening to the characters.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
And I love, first and foremost, it's a family drama.
Yeah.
And
I recommended you the podcast that Eggers and Ari Aster do, where they interview each other, and they kind of go into their influences on this movie. And I want to go back and watch some of that stuff now.
What's that on?
The A24
Okay,
podcast.
I'm going to have to go back to that. Unless, Hereditary scared the hell out of me. I think everything in that final 15 minutes is absolutely terrifying and horrifying and nightmare-inducing.
Yeah.
Toni Collette in the entire film is fantastic, but then in the final sequences, she is terrifying. Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff I would like to bring up, but not to spoil it. But yeah, there's so much to unpack in this movie as well. And there's another movie we'll talk about after we go through our list that I think this movie does that type of ending better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Hereditary.
It's so good.
Yeah,
it's
great.
One of the best of the decade for sure.
Easily. Where are we at? 3?
Number 3.
I already forgot what I have. Oh, okay. All right. This is my fun pick.
Okay.
This movie, let's see if you can guess it by my description.
Okay.
This movie is what every horror movie or every horror fan should want in a movie, and this movie is made for horror fans. It dissects the entire genre. It's Cabin in the Woods. This is what I want from a horror movie. It's scary. It's funny. It's able to pick apart the genre while making fun of it, while also loving it. I love this movie to death. Your silence is a little scary.
I don't love Cabin in the Woods.
Really?
I don't love it.
Oh,
I understand it, and I understand its importance and why people love it. It just doesn't connect with me.
Oh wow!
I think once you get to the final sequences of like the Monster Factory, I guess is what I can call it. I think that's a ton of fun, but I'm kind of bored.
Wow, I couldn't disagree more.
Yeah, it just doesn't hit for me.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think I've sort of like never heard any horror fan not love this movie. Okay.
I don't love it.
Wow.
Yeah. I like it. It's not that I hate the movie at all.
Yeah.
No. It just doesn't connect with me on a love level.
I'm disappointed right now. I'm so
Don't
sad.
I'm
so
sad. I'm not taking away from your love.
I know.
I know I'm very much in the minority, and I knew it was probably going to be brought up.
Hey, I mean, in the
just
minority
don't
on
love it.
Get Out, so that's what it is. Yeah, I love how this movie takes every scene you've seen before in a horror movie and like puts it in this movie, and you're like, okay, I've seen this before. And then later on, it flips everything on its head. It gives horror fans every villain they've ever wanted in a horror movie.
And more.
I mean, I might be biased. It ends with one of my favorite Nine Inch Nails songs. I love Sigourney Weaver coming in at the end, and the idea behind, why this is happening. I just think this is such a very smart look at the genre itself, while not like it's like making fun of the genre, but like with like a hey man, we love you. We're making fun of you, like a group of guys making fun of each other type of thing.
Yeah, it often gets compared to Scream.
Really? I've done that. Okay.
In the meta aspect, like deconstructing a horror movie. But I think Cabin in the Woods stops being a horror movie completely.
Well, yeah.
And I think Scream works straight up as a horror movie too.
Yeah.
I like Scream a lot more, and I think it did what Cabin in the Woods was trying to do better. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't connect with me.
Okay.
I like the Bradley Whitford character and
Richard Jenkins.
Yeah, they're both really good.
Yeah.
And I think they're a ton of fun.
Merman.
Merman is great. Unicorn is great. Yeah, but I just the main characters don't do anything for me.
That might be the point.
And then I want some characters in my movie though. I'm a character guy in a horror movie. Though.
I think the characters in Cabin in the Woods are no better or worse than any group of teenagers we've seen in other horror movies.
No. I think you are right, but I don't know.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm shocked. I thought you liked this movie.
I like it. I don't love it.
Okay.
Don't love it.
Okay.
I'm not. I might sound really negative.
No. It's okay. I'm just because I know that I try to be honest with movies that I don't like that you love. So I expect it in return. I just thought you loved it. Okay.
I don't love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I respect it though.
This is the last episode of Killer Countdown ever. By the
Blake
way.
quits.
No, I'm just kidding.
All right. My number 3 then. I mentioned I will have 2 James Wan movies on this list. This is my other, Insidious. Insidious, for me, is this for a straight up horror movie, the scariest movie for me of the decade.
Really?
I am terrified of this movie. And
okay.
I don't know if I can really explain why though.
Maybe that's why it's so scary.
Maybe. There is just like I think The Conjuring and Hereditary are very close in how much they scared me. And Insidious still scares me to this day. There's just so many sequences in this movie that I get terrified watching.
Yeah.
The sequence, again, we talked about Hereditary in our last episode and daylight horror. James Wan did this in Insidious.
Midsommar.
What did I say?
You said Hereditary.
Okay, Midsommar. Sorry, but James Wan did this in Insidious. There's a sequence in the house where Rose Byrne is home alone, and she's like just doing day-to-day chores, taking out the garbage, laundry, whatever, and there's just shots of like there's something in the corner there. There's someone behind the door there. And it never focuses on it. It's always on Rose Byrne.
Yeah.
But there's always something there. And you fall. It's all one take, I do believe.
I don't remember.
I think so. And then there's a shot where she goes outside and she walks past the window and there's something that I'm like, whew. And she walks back.
I forgot about that
back to the house and you hear the music kick on the tiptoe through the tulip. That song terrifies me. And I know it's it's a kid song. I'm pretty sure. A very innocent song. Tiny Todd? Tiny Tim?
Yeah.
That song, it gives me chills every time I hear it. And yeah, that sequence is so good. And it's building and building and building and building to this jump scare, and it gets you, and boom, next scene. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
Because it's not a cheap jump scare like a cat jumping out of a thing, or the cop shows up to the house and there's the jump scare loud sting.
Yeah.
But no, it's something scary, and it's going to pop out and scare you. I think that's terrifying. The shot of the demon, of him, like them asking, "What are you here for?" And you see the shadow and you see the hand come out and he's pointing to the kid. I'm like, nope, not happening. I think there's so many genuine scary moments in this. Again, I think characters are really good in this. I like the family. I like Patrick Wilson. I like Rose Byrne. Once you introduce Lynn Shay and her goofy Ghostbusters, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
They get a little too goofy in the sequels. Is it Lee Winnell and I'm not sure the other guy's name. But Lynn Shay is really good in this movie.
Yeah.
And
it was really cool that she kind of got, in a way, her own franchise.
She got the series after this. This is her franchise, and I'm do it.
Yeah.
Like, we got enough teenage protagonists. Let's focus on 60, 70-year-old Lynn Shay. Why not?
I watched Insidious for the first time during the middle of the day, and it scared the crap out of me. I think the movie loses a lot of steam when it goes into that nether world. Mm-hmm. I don't care for any of that stuff.
I love that stuff.
But everything up to that, I think, is great. Is there a sequence where, like, they run upstairs and the thing is behind, like, a curtain or something?
Yeah.
In a
crib? He is passing through, like, walking outside, pacing, and then all of a sudden, back and forth past the window, boom, boom, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's inside the door, and you're like, oh my god. Yes.
No, I'm not talking about that sequence. There's another one with the baby in the crib, I thought.
Oh yeah. There's two sequences. Yeah.
And then there's another great sequence where they're all at a dinner table, and it's right behind Patrick Wilson.
And that's out of nowhere too.
Yeah.
There's no, like, it's built. Well, I guess there is no build. There is build to it, but it's like you're not expecting that,
right?
Because it cuts back to him in that same shot multiple times.
Yeah. It's just James Wan understands how to build suspense. Insidious, like, I don't even think would make my top 50. Well, maybe it would. I don't know. But, like, I still like it a lot. Mm-hmm. Maybe even, So, good pick.
Yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah.
And, like, the ghost.
I don't care for the sequels, but.
See, the second one I liked just as much as the first one. Honestly.
I didn't like the Back to the Future stuff.
I dug that.
Yeah.
But I'm bored with ghost movies.
Sure.
And I think James does a really good job of, like, building a really crazy and weird world within it.
Sure.
And building this ghost dimension place.
Yeah.
And I like being in that place, and I think it's just a very atmospheric and cool place to build a horror movie inside of. Yeah. So, the other one's kind of, it's definitely diminishing returns in the other sequels, but I don't think any of them are bad. They're not as good as the first one, but yeah.
Okay.
I dig them. I still dig them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's my number 3 then.
That was 3?
Insidious.
All right, so we're at number 2 now.
Number 2
is probably the movie I've watched the most, the horror movie I've watched the most this decade. I watch it. It's a yearly watch for me now. It is It Follows.
Higher.
Okay. That's your turn.
All right. My number 2 then is Jennifer Kent's The Babadook.
The other movie I want to talk about in terms of
at least
important movies that I didn't care for, but I respect on a.
So I at least brought up 2 of them on my list. I know what the other one is.
Yeah.
We feel the same on that one, not these 2, I guess.
Yeah.
I love The Babadook. Again, I think it is very, very unnerving, very unsettling, very scary as well, but also has a story to tell and has underlying meaning behind it, and I love that in a horror movie. So basically, it's about this single mother who has lost her husband, car accident, I believe. And she is just dealing with her just this most rotten child ever, screams and cries at everything, never stops, unrelenting child. A parent's worst nightmare, really. This kid, and you have to get. I mean, the first time I watched it, you have to get past the kid a little bit. But then mysteriously, this book called The Babadook shows up, and it's this pop-up book, and it shows up to her house, and it's about like a mother murdering her child, and it's a very dark, disturbing book, and she tries every way to destroy this book, throw it out in the trash, but it always reappears back to her. And soon the Babadook begins appearing in her real life. Shows up at her house, the neighbor's house, wherever she's unexpecting of the Babadook to show up. And it's all about this woman and dealing with tragedy and dealing with life and tragedies that happen, and it's in loss and grief, and it's all that built into this character of the Babadook, and I just love that. Mm-hmm. So why do you hate the Babadook? No,
I don't hate it. I don't like it.
I know you don't like it.
Everything that you feel, I push play. I watched it and it ended, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, that exists. It doesn't do anything for me. It does nothing for me. I want to see it now that I'm a parent.
Yeah,
that's what I want. I want to rewatch it now that I have a parent, that I am a parent, and I want to look at it through that lens. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, this movie does nothing for me. Like, it moves zero needles. I didn't find it scary. I didn't find it interesting.
Yeah, I remember for the longest time, this was my recommendation to people when because they knew I was a movie guy. And at work or school or whatever it was, they'd always ask, "Okay, what's a good scary movie to watch?" The Babadook. Yeah, go watch The Babadook.
And I'm not here to talk trash about it because I know it's, for me, I would call it like one of the big three of the decade, in terms of in terms of what the consensus
this is my introduction. Here we are. We're moving on.
Maybe like the consensus of like what is considered what I continuously see as like named as the best horror movies of the decade. This one, Get Out, and then the other one we'll talk about after our lists. So like for me, I'm not here to knock it because I know it's important in terms of the genre for the decade. So it just didn't work for me.
Yeah. Every person I recommended it to hated it too.
Yeah. So.
Well, hated it more than you did.
I liked The Nightingale quite a bit. Her follow-up. I
didn't like it as much as The Babadook, but
yeah.
It's a completely different movie though.
It's a very different movie. Yeah. This Jennifer Kent is.
She's
a
name that
she's got some. I think she's working through some issues.
She's got some things to say, and I'm all for it.
She really does. Yeah.
And honestly, if we're looking at the directors of the decade. We can talk about it after this, too, or we can do it now. I don't care. I think there's 5 names out there that are the directors in horror of the decade.
You think she's one of them?
And she's one of them.
Wow. Okay.
Just because of The Babadook and then The Nightingale is...
Which is not a horror movie.
It's a revenge movie, so it's adjacent to the genre. I think it's James Wan, Mike Flanagan, her, Ari Aster, and Rob Eggers.
Not Jordan Peele.
And then Jordan Peele. Didn't I say Jordan Peele?
Did you?
No, then I would throw Jordan. So 6. I wouldn't say 6 guys. Yeah. And James is kind of in and out of the genre too. So yeah, I would say that's the 6 directors, and I definitely think her name has to be thrown in there.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got for number 1? Are you down to the?
Do you have a guess what my number 1's gonna be?
No, because you said your number. What I thought was your number 1.
Yeah. Okay. My number 1 is
I don't know.
The Den.
Really?
The Den scares the hell out. It scares me to death. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it could actually happen, all that stuff, but I believe, in some weird way, I believe it could. So The Den is about this woman who... Have you seen it, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It's been a while. I need to watch this movie.
Yeah. The Den is about this woman who is doing... She's trying to get grant money to do a social experiment, like a thesis on connectivity and talking with people all over the world through technology and how it's changing. And she mainly spends a lot of time on this place called it's called well, it's like chat roulette, where you just kind of like cycle through people.
Yeah, what was it called?
I don't remember. I don't remember. But anyway, she gets wind of this place called the Den, and the first video she sees is of this girl being killed, and it's so real. It feels so real that she starts to investigate it, and I can't remember if she finds clues or not. But anyway, she slowly, without realizing it, starts getting sucked into this world of the Den and what it is, and she starts seeing like her technology around her controlling her life, and people start stalking her and trying to hurt her, and she doesn't know what's happening. And the gimmick with the movie is it's all told through screens. It's all on phones, computers, webcams. None of it is well, I shouldn't say that. There's one shot at the end where it's like you're watching a movie, but otherwise it's all on a screen. And
Unfriended did not do it first, people.
it's like Unfriended, which
better.
is really good too. But
It's fun.
The Den was is like the movie of this generation. Now that we have technology in our lives that is almost taken over, we're able to access everything at our fingertips. This is the first movie, and maybe the only movie, to actually make me feel like I'm just completely vulnerable to having my life ruined, or being kidnapped or whatnot. I remember my wife and I were watching it, and there's a scene at the end where this girl is trying to escape this warehouse, abandoned warehouse, and the siren goes off. And I remember my wife grabbing my hand and looking over at me and being like, "I'm scared right now." And that's never happened before. And I've only seen this movie a few times. And my number two, I've seen way more. But the point is like, no movie has scared me more this past decade than The Den. And everyone I tell to watch it is the same way. They're just like, that this is scary as hell. And there's a lot of great sequences shown through phones or webcams that they figure out a way to not be like, to make it impossible that this could happen. Like, it feels very real. Like, if someone did this to me, like, it could actually happen. There's a lot of great scare sequences that are told through phones or screens that they're very scary. And this movie's only like 80 minutes long, I think, but like it fills its time very well. And this was it follows, I think, is gonna be that movie that is like the cool hip number one movie that I think like resonates with me on like a technical aesthetic level. But The Den is the only movie as a horror movie that has truly scared me, and I think about all the time.
Yeah, The Den. I haven't watched this movie. So this came out what,
13 or 14 or something like that.
I haven't probably watched it since 2014, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe even 2013. Yeah. All I remember is that I just felt gross after watching. I just felt really gross. Like, I literally felt like I needed to take a shower and decompress.
I remember. So my wife and I we lived in this house that didn't have like a peephole or a windows in the front door. It was just a door. And I just remember watching this movie and seeing this woman's life violated and being like, if someone knocked on my door right now, I wouldn't know. I would have no idea who it is. And just that idea of being watched all the time. And
makes you feel very vulnerable watching the movie.
And I with you, like, I just felt like I needed a shower afterwards.
This movie's on Hulu right now if you're looking for it out there. I want to watch. Okay, so I'm going to watch it again this weekend.
And why? And the reason I don't want to. I refuse to spoil what happens, but the reasoning of what's happening to this woman is even scarier than what. Is like the end result of why they're doing this to her is scarier than why like
what's happening.
Yeah. And then when you see the person at the end, like how do I say this? Like it's an even scarier epilogue to what you've seen before. I just found it's terrifying to me.
Yeah, as far as horror movies go, I think it's probably the best representation of what the dark web is, and
how our best what could scare us the most. I think I could see if people were ambitious enough and were able to keep it a secret, I could see this happening in real life. And that's what scares me. Like, I don't think it happens, but like...
so I need to rewatch it to remember exactly what happens, but from what I remember, this is a very real thing.
Right.
Like, like, this stuff happens in real life. Okay. From what I remember
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to know.
I'm fascinated with weird dark web stuff. I never want to go on it or be involved with it, but I'm fascinated like how this is a thing in our society.
Someone can speak to it more than I can, but I hope this doesn't happen because it's
like I said, it made me feel literally gross after watching.
Yeah. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, and then you can decide for yourself if something like this happens. My guess is it probably does, but
unfortunately, from what I remember, that what happens.
Anyway, The Den is the movie that has scared me the most, made me feel the most uneasy, and it's now that I'm a father, it haunts me even more. Yeah. So.
All right, should we talk about something happier?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring that down.
No, you've brought it up a couple times in the show. I'm like, God, I just need to go back and watch this now again. All right, my number one. This is your number two.
Yeah,
It Follows.
I love It Follows.
Love this movie.
I love It Follows. This is a terrific achievement in the genre.
Yeah, this follows a young high school, college-aged woman, and basically she ends up with, I would assume it was her boyfriend at the time, but I
think just like a guy she's
or
dating.
A date. Yeah, they're on a date, and this guy begins to see this like either this woman or this man, whoever it may be, and it might be following him.
And it's a woman because he references it at one point.
Yeah, in the theater, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just watched this a couple months ago.
Okay.
So.
But yeah, this is then he brings her out, and they have a night together in his car. But he then, after they finish their business, he drugs her, and she ends up tied to this chair, and he basically runs through, hey, this is what happened to you. It's not malicious. I just need to pass this thing on. And basically what it is he passes along this demon, and it's only transmitted sexually. Like, you have to have sex to transmit this demon. STD, sexually transmitted demon, is what I like to call it.
Oh, okay.
And so this naked woman comes through the woods, follows them up to wherever they are in this parking ramp or abandoned building or whatever it was. Yeah. And he says, it will change form. It'll be who you love, who you don't know. You never know who it is or what it wants with you after it catches you, but don't let it catch you.
Yeah, and it's always walking.
It never stops. It's
always coming.
Always
for you.
after you.
Yep.
So that is the setup for the movie, and God, this movie is fantastic. The soundtrack, the score, disaster piece. Oh my God.
This is So I think this is the apex of synthesizer throwback retro scores. This is like I enjoy them as much as anybody else. They're fun, but like, let's face it, a lot of movies just put them in there because it's cool. It's cool. This one, like, literally sets up the atmosphere of the film. Sometimes drives the feel of the scene. It's not a gimmick at all. Like, this is a legit terrifying synthesizer score. The filmmaking is just, I mean, this is off the charts horror filmmaking here. Yeah. I mean, like, the camera itself becomes a character. The camera represents the paranoia of the characters. There's one sequence where I forget the main character's name, but her and this guy, her and her friends go to the school to find out who this guy is that she slept with. And the entire time the camera is spinning around in a circle, and it shows them in the library getting the information, and when it pans around, or when it oscillates around
to this window outside,
to this window, it shows this old lady walking towards the camera, and when it goes back the library. They're still talking. When it comes back, the woman's closer. Turns around, woman's closer again, and like it's that style of filmmaking that just it sells the entire idea of this thing, and not knowing who it is.
And again,
towards you.
even in that scene, that might not have been the thing following.
Yeah,
it probably was,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it might not have been.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I love this movie. I think it is again, people, it's a very much a throwback to the 80s style of horror movies, especially synth scores and even Carpenter directing type of films,
Right.
and Wes Craven.
Right.
Very much like Craven and Carpenter characters mixed together. Like, this is like if Craven and Carpenter had a kid together, this is kind of what would happen.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, but it's also very much its own thing.
Yeah.
And it takes that idea of, hey, if you have sex in a horror movie, you're going to die. No, literally, if you have sex in this movie, you're going to die.
Right. There's some rules I wonder if it's that they didn't really talk about or if they break that like that doesn't really mean much to me. There's so much good this movie is gorgeous. Is it
David Robert Mitchell?
David Robert Mitchell. His follow up to this is quite the bonkers movie, but that is equally as he just finds these shots that are just so gorgeous to look at, and I think it lends itself from what I understand he doesn't want to do horror anymore, which is sad to hear. Yeah. But we'll see if he comes back. But I think the consensus is this is like our number one movie of the decade, even though I think like I said, on a different level, The Den just affected me so much. But like the Den and It Follows might be like a
interchangeable,
right, for me. So like I said, I think It Follows is probably like the number one horror movie for us in this decade.
Yeah.
But this is such a fun movie.
And yeah, like you said, the score. Like many movies do the synth score, and sometimes it's a little gimmicky, or hey, let's just do it to do it.
Yeah.
No, that's very much a character in this movie.
Yeah. I don't
score.
think this movie works without it.
No,
I really don't.
Again, it's kind of the Carpenter Halloween aspect.
Yeah.
Halloween doesn't work without Carpenter's score.
That's a good point.
It doesn't work. It'll be an okay movie, a fine movie, I'm sure, but it's not.
Yeah.
It Follows. It's not Halloween without that score.
Yeah.
And I think this is. We would both agree it's the best horror score of the decade.
Off the top of my head, I think I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one I've listened to the most. I've watched the movie probably 3-4 times. I've listened to the soundtrack dozens of times, just doing whatever. It's so good, and I love It Follows.
Yeah. For me, this is going to be like a yearly watch for me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, this is one where it's every list I've written down for best of the decades. It's always It Follows is the number one.
Really?
Duh. Yeah, every time.
For you, like when you make a list?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's like
overall or
no, like in horror.
Oh,
like
okay.
if I'm going to put a horror movie number one, it's like It Follows.
Yeah.
And it's the one that stuck with me the most.
Yeah.
I love the opening. It's so good.
The opening's great.
It's great. You see nothing in that opening too.
It's
just the girl running out of the house, the tracking shot, spinning around with the whant, and then smash cut to her on the she goes to the beach, and then boom, smash cut to her body all mangled. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah. I love how it's just like step by step, the conventions of how the movie's going to work are just slowly shown to you. Like that scene happens, and then the scene where
it has really nothing to do with.
Well, it's and like the scene in the theater, the way like they're like, oh, who'd you want to be, and like he's like, oh, that lady in the yellow dress, and she's like, what lady? She's like, that lady right there. He's like, yeah, I don't see anybody, and then he realizes that that's
her.
That's the girl, and then you don't know that until later on. You're like, oh, he was talking because that's who was following him. So, tremendous movie.
Yep. Yeah, I love this movie.
I do too.
It's so good.
I do too.
Like, I want to go watch it right now.
I kind of do too.
Yeah, there's been talks of a sequel, I guess.
Really?
I don't want it. Yeah. I don't want it. I mean, if it's still popping up on people's best decade lists, it's sticking around. I see it a lot on other people still talking about It Follows. So.
I think when this movie came out, for me, it was instant classic status. Like there was instant, like, boom, this is it. This for me is like up there with Scream. It's up there with Halloween. Like it is the best of its time.
Yeah, like personal list, it's probably in my top 10 favorite of all time.
Wow.
Because it has like
Horror movies or just
horror movies
Okay.
of all time.
Okay.
It has to be on my
Yeah.
top 10. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Wow. Nuts.
All right. So what do we got? Do you want to run through your list really quick, and I'll run through mine, and we'll do honorable mentions?
You go back through my list?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just say what it is again.
I had Hereditary, Grave Encounters, Mandy, Paranormal Activity 3, The Conjuring, The Invitation, A Cure for Wellness, The Cabin in the Woods, It Follows, and The Den.
All right. I had number 10, Terrifier, Get Out, Your Next, Creep, Oculus, The Conjuring, Hereditary, Insidious, The Babadook, and It Follows. All right. What are some of your honorable mentions here?
These are like the movies that I guess would kind of fill out
had a lot.
my top 20.
Yeah.
You might laugh at some of these. I had Beyond the Black Rainbow, Black Swan, Darren Aronofsky's ballet movie. The Crazies, I loved.
Was that this? Oh, 2010?
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Let Me In, I loved. The Lords of Salem.
Still the best Rob Zombie movie.
It's on here, but I don't love the whole thing. VHS 2.
I had it written on
Mainly
mine
for
too.
Safe Haven.
Yeah.
Split. The David Gordon Green Halloween is one of my favorites of the decade. All right. The Nun and Midsummer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had quite a few on here. I'll rattle quite a few off that you didn't mention. Sinister, I had on here.
Yeah, that's good.
I think it's really good. I think the ending really falls apart
Sure.
pretty fast. The Void,
Ooh, I do like The Void.
Tragedy Girls,
I have not seen that.
a lot of fun. Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Okay.
The Devil's Candy
Okay, that's a good one.
is really good. Along with that, Don't Breathe. It Comes at Night. Almost made it on there. Train to Busan.
Yeah.
Green Room.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
God, how did I forget Green Room?
The Sacrament, The Guest, Hell House was close to making the list.
I don't consider it a horror. That's why. Anyway, go ahead.
Which
Sorry.
one?
Green Room.
Green Room. Yeah, I don't know what else you put it. It's a thriller,
Yeah,
I guess.
don't know. I'm not like against you having it. It's just,
Yeah, again, that's why I didn't put it on the list.
Yeah.
Taking It, Deborah Logan, really almost made it on there.
I need to watch that one again.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Hush and Us are also on here.
Oh man, I'm gonna run through my master list of movies that I really really enjoyed really quickly. The Dead, I brought that up on another one. I had Insidious, Piranha 3D, I really liked. Stakeland is a great zombie movie, or I'm sorry, vampire movie. Troll Hunter. I also had Tucker and Dale. I liked the Wolfman remake with Benicio del Toro. Absentia. I loved the Fright Night remake. Thought that was very good. The Innkeepers is my favorite Ty West movie. Livid, which is a French haunted house vampire movie. Scream 4, I think it's the best Scream sequel. The Skin I Live In, the Pedro Almodovar horror movie, is very, very good. The Woman is really good as well. I had Your Next on here. The Bay, which is a fun found footage movie. Barbarian Sound Studio is another great throwback to 70s horror movies. Willow Creek is a fun found footage. Is it Willow? Yeah, found footage Sasquatch movie. Oculus, The Invitation That Follows. Backcountry, Scary Bear. The Final Girls, Hell House LLC. Evolution, which is a fun French movie that has a insane ending. Southbound, which is one of my favorite anthology movies of the decade. Baskin, which is a fun Turkish horror, gore, phantasmagoric movie. The Autopsy of Jane Doe is great for the first hour, and then I don't like where it goes from there. But man, it is. Have you seen it?
I have a while ago, yeah.
Yeah. Conjuring 2, Don't Breathe, I loved until it decided to be like, oh, we're going to go crazy at the end. I didn't like the ending. Split, Fender Bender is a lot of fun. If you've not seen Fender, it's very good. Train to Busan, Under the Shadow, a great Iranian horror movie. The Void, The Wailing, a very good South Korean horror movie.
Have you seen A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night?
Yes.
Okay.
They Look Like People is a fantastic low-budget mumblecore made on like $5,000 budget horror movie. Highly, highly recommend. Happy Death Day. Jigsaw, which is the best Saw movie in the series.
Woof.
the best Saw movie in the series. It Comes at Night, A Cure for Wellness, Cult of Chucky, The Devil's Candy, The Clovehitch Killer, which is the movie summer of '84 wanted to be.
Dylan McDermott, right?
Yep. The Strangers Pray at Night, which is better than the first movie. Suspiria, remake, is very good. Unfriended Dark Web, I thought was very good. Unsane I thought was very good, and we've already done 2019, so.
Awesome. I hated Dark Web.
I like both the
The
Unfriended
Den
movies.
I think the first.
No, I agree. The Den is the master of those, but
Yeah.
I think Unfriended and Unfriended 2 both are fun in their own right.
I had a lot of fun with the first one watching that in the theater. Second one, I couldn't get behind it.
Yeah, it felt like Unfriended was like, the Den beat us. We should just remake that with Bitcoin and something else. So yeah.
With Dark Web, yeah.
Yeah, Dark Web felt like a retcon to do like the Den with a bigger budget.
Yeah.
It's not as good.
All right, we had quite a few movies.
The elephant in the room.
Okay.
Is The Witch.
Yeah.
What don't you like about The Witch?
Okay, so I have only seen it the one time in the theater, opening weekend. And this was after a lot of buzz at the festival circuit, and this is the scariest movie ever made. This is the greatest horror film ever made. It's the next coming of whatever. Jesus. What?
Oh, I
You have a puzzled
I'm
look
going
on
to
your
write something down because I want to ask about it after, because I don't remember if you brought it up or not.
Okay. But yeah, this was actually me and my fiance's. This is the first movie we ever went to together.
Okay.
So that The Witch oddly holds a special place in my heart because of that. But neither one of us like the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I like it, don't love it like other people do. It just didn't connect with me.
Yeah,
I can't say, because I really can't say it's a bad movie.
No, it's very well made.
It is, and I was never scared. And again, I think it might have been too. It was, first of all, I don't think it was what I was expecting. And I think it is a little slow. It's really slow for me.
I don't find it interesting at all.
And I don't want to crap on, because I don't don't think it's a bad movie.
No,
I just
neither do
don't
I.
like it.
Neither do
Yeah.
I. I don't think it's a bad movie at all. It doesn't do anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
It moves no needle. The part where the goat starts talking is very, very well done and creepy. But
Black Phillip.
yeah, I don't know. This doesn't do anything for me at all. The Lighthouse is where Robert Eggers really kicks into gear for me.
I think we both really agree on his filmography. Like, I The Lighthouse is
Not coordinated either. Like,
No,
it's just
no. The Lighthouse, I think it just really connects with me a lot more than The Witch did. Yeah, it's my favorite movie of 2019. The Witch just didn't do it.
He likes
for me.
watching his characters devolve into madness, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Which I'm alright with.
Yeah,
because
no.
we like watching that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I like the final shot in The Witch.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I don't know if I necessarily. I don't want to say it's not earned, but it feels like it's something completely different than the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it feels out of place for me.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's kind. So the final shot in The Witch is what I was expecting the entire film to be.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe not for me, but
But this was before I was getting into more art house style films.
yeah, yeah.
So that's what I was expecting.
I don't know. I remember this is another movie where I was at TIFF in Toronto and this was playing, and
see it there?
I did not. It was playing after I was there. The festival's 10 days long. I was there for the first 5. It didn't screen until like the 6th day, so I didn't get a chance to see it. And so, but I was like, oh, I really want to see this. This is the movie that I want to see. And I didn't get a chance to see it, so I had to wait till theaters. No, I actually didn't see it until it came out on video. Did it play Sioux Falls in theaters? Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I didn't see it until home video, and I don't know. I was like really excited. I remember like my wife was gonna go out with some friends, and I'm like, yes, go, so I can watch this movie. Go with your family. Have your own time. And she went out, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch The Witch. And I remember just being like, this, like, I can't remember checking my time, like, oh, it's been 15 minutes. And I checked, I was like, oh, it's only been 25 minutes. I checked the time, I was like, oh, it's only been 30 minutes. And I'm like, this is, and
it's only an hour and a half long, too.
I just find it really uninteresting. Yeah. But if people like it, then that's fine. You know, like, it's a very well-made movie. Robert Eggers is clearly a talented filmmaker.
Yeah.
It just didn't do anything for me.
Agreed. Like,
So-
I understand how important the movie is.
Yeah.
And how, I understand if people love it. It's just, I think we feel the same. It's like it just didn't work for us.
Yeah, so it's like, I would argue the three biggest movies of the decade for the genre, I don't care for. Like, Get Out is fine to me. The Babadook and The Witch are all they're very well made movies. They just don't work for me. So, did you bring up Evil Dead at all?
I did not.
Let's talk about that because I was against it after my first viewing, and then I rewatched it
in our remake episode.
I rewatched it about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
and I thought it was very good and very well done, and I'm surprised it didn't come up at all. And you had talked about how much you love it, but it didn't even make like an honorable mentions list.
it was written down on here.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't read it off. But yeah, I do like the movie. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Okay.
And I will admit, the one time I saw it was in a hotel on vacation on HBO.
So it's probably cut to smithereens.
No, it wasn't cut. It wasn't
okay.
cut. It wasn't cut. It had all the blood and gore and stuff. But
But it wasn't the.
But it wasn't. I wasn't sitting down to say, "Hey, I'm watching Evil Dead." It was like,
on.
"Hey, it's on. It's starting right now. Let's watch it." Type of thing.
I don't like watching movies in hotels unless it's something I've seen before.
It was.
Or
It
it's
was.
fun.
It was not. It was. It was fun to watch.
Well,
it was just, I mean,
like True Lies or something, like. But yeah,
so this one, it needs to get another rewatch to see if it builds up higher in my best of the decade. I mean, I've seen it pop up a lot. I mean,
like the list you sent me yesterday
was from Bloody Disgusting. Had number one best horror film of the decade, Evil Dead. This movie is still, I think it's more popular and more well appreciated now than it was when it came out. There's definitely more love for it now.
Yeah, that's possible. It was pretty loved when it came out.
It was, but I think now, like, even looking at some of the other remakes and stuff that we've gotten, this one stands out above everything else that we've gotten in the last decade.
Man, it's a brutal movie. Mm-hmm. I was texting you while watching it, and I was like, man, Lou Pucci just gets annihilated in this movie, and it's poor Lou Pucci. Jesus, he gets destroyed in this movie. But any movie that literally ends in raining blood.
So much blood.
Oh my god.
And there has been talks of finally the sequel might be coming. I don't know. Sam Raimi's mentioned it a bunch of times. He said if Fede wants to, only if Fede writes and directs it, I'll do it. I'm waiting on him. So Fede Alvarez, if you're listening to the Killer Countdown, please make Evil Dead 2.
Is this a sequel to this, or is this a remake?
They haven't really said.
What do you think?
Okay, so one of their plans originally was do Ash vs. Evil Dead, the series.
Which is great,
Yep.
for the most part.
Do Evil Dead with Fede. Do an Evil Dead 2 with Fede. And then at the end, there would be a stinger at the end of Evil Dead 2 where Ash shows up and says, I need you. And we do Evil Dead versus Army of Darkness. And it would be a crossover. Sam Raimi directs the big crossover.
Mm. You know that he shows up at the end of the Evil Dead remake, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but like he would like legit like not in an after credit scene. Like at the end of the movie, Ash is there. Boom, we're on to the next thing.
I think it'd be cool if it did end where.
And I think that was more of a fan thing to have Bruce Campbell turn to the camera. Groovy.
Did you listen to the Shockwaves podcast where like one of them was talking about how some kid just goes, "That's the guy from Burn Notice," and I had no clue. It's
Ash Williams. It's hilarious.
Yeah, this was a good rewatch for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I watched this on the same day as The Lighthouse, so that was
a good day.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm all for doing another Evil Dead and crossing them over.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wish
and I know Sam
Raimi would come back to the genre.
I know him and Bruce Campbell are all for it, ready to do it. So, but I think what Sam Raimi does really well is if he's producing a property and he has a director he likes and respects and wants that, like that's their property, then he's not going to take it over from them.
I also want to bring up that this was Alvarez's first feature film.
And it's
like a $40 million movie. and like it's really well made.
Mm-hmm.
So
He's the guy to look out for. I loved Don't Breathe. Okay, so Don't Breathe will probably get a sequel before Evil Dead does.
Yeah, Don't Breathe, man. The movie falls apart at
Does
the
it?
end. Yeah.
When they get out of the house?
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, he's alive." It's like, come on.
Oh, they
Come on.
They changed that. That's not the original ending.
Yeah, I didn't like that. And I felt so betrayed because the whole movie is like really well done, and Stephen Lang
Crush
is a very good villain in like basically anything I've seen him in. And I felt really betrayed by that, and I kind of thought the turkey baster scene was a little too far, but that might be old man Ginithan talking there.
I like the turkey baster scene. I don't know.
But so he could be the horror director of this upcoming decade. Him, Peele, Eggers.
He needs to stick and he needs to do a few more horror movies in here. So I'm looking at his upcoming stuff. We're getting off track completely, but that's all right. It's our show. We'll do what we want. He did Girl in the Spiderwebs. I never watched that. But
that's one of the series of Elizabeth Salander. Yeah, Dragon Tattoo.
Yep. I never had an interest in the series. That's why I never got to it. I dig Fede a lot. But, he's attached to a bunch of other films. He's attached to a Dante's Inferno movie.
Ooh.
I think he's still attached to the Texas Chainsaw remake.
I'm
whatever.
out on that stuff.
I think he's still directing the Labyrinth.
What
sequel?
I have a confession. I've never seen the Labyrinth before, so
I've watched it too many times because someone has a love of Jim Henson in our house.
Oh. And
the Bowie Bulge.
I've heard of that.
One of those is mine and one is hers.
Yours is the Bowie's Bulge.
Definitely the Bowie Bulge. He's another guy like we mentioned at the top of this episode. This is director-driven horror movies.
And
for
I
this
think
decade.
we're on the cusp of like those guys kicking into high gear, possibly.
Well, yeah, and a lot of these movies. So
which is why you said it was more of a transitional decade.
Yes. So it follows the Babadook, Hereditary, Get Out are all first films for these people.
No, It Follows is not his first movie.
Oh yeah, he did first horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And possibly last.
Hopefully not.
I hope so too. I hope he comes back.
Yeah, but this has been just a decade though.
Yeah.
Even if
it's way better than 2000, 2009.
We need to do a killer countdown on those because I don't know what's in that decade. I already know my number one.
If we're doing it a top 20 because we've had enough time to look back on what came out that decade and what was transformative and what stuck.
I think I know what I would have at number one.
I'd have to look.
Yeah.
We should plan that, though.
Let's do
Maybe
it.
for like the summertime or something.
Let's do it. All right.
Too much going on.
We do have a lot going on. Let's talk about what we got going on. This was our Killer Countdown Best of the Decade personal list. But on January 26th, Sunday, January 26th, at 3 p.m. at Last Stop Studios in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, we will be... I stole that from Andy. I love how he says
South Dakota.
South Dakota. We will be doing a live show of the Backlot 605 main show. Myself, Blake, Brian Mensing, Andy from Fat Dude Digs Flicks, and Corey Jacobson from Somewhat Random Movie Collection, counting down the 20 best films of the decade. 4 picks each, 5 players. What a game. Will any of these show up?
I don't know.
Will Blake play the den? That'd be wild.
Spoilers, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to expect.
Nope. Who knows if any horror movies will show up at all? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, not to...
Technically, we're the horror guys.
We are the horror guys, but I don't know. There's some great movies that came out this decade.
Yep. So look out for that if you're in the Sioux Falls area and check it out.
I'm excited to destroy all of you guys. So
I'm ready for throwing a wrench into this game.
I have my wrench planned.
Yeah. That is Sunday, January 26th, 3 o'clock, free show, plenty of prizes. fun
Yes.
giveaways. We're going to be doing that, so check it out.
Yes.
Check out this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube. As I said, Killer Countdown, one of our goals for 2020 is to get it into its own podcast feed, so we will let you know on our social media channels when that happens. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and backlot605.com. Follow Blake at Midwest Cinephile on Instagram, and
Yes.
you review every single movie that you
Every
watch
single
on
movie
Instagram.
I watch, I review it.
Awesome.
There's one I'm holding off on specifically because of this.
Of games.
Yes,
right.
of gamesmanship. So
All right, I'm excited for it, and you can, this has been our Killer Countdown Best of the Decade.
this went as well as I thought it was gonna go.
Yeah, this was
I had
good.
a lot
This
of
was fun.
Nice Saturday morning primer for the
Yeah,
day.
I think we need to do this a little more often. Do a fun little side episode that isn't
Yeah.
a traditional game of Killer
Because
Countdown.
I feel like with horror, it's an often maligned but yet well loved
Mm-hmm.
genre that we should talk about it without in the context of not like lists. So this was fun to do.
Yeah, we're trying to stab each other's movies off the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It was fun.
All right, so this has been the Killer Countdown Best of the Decade. This is Blake and Casey signing off.
Adios.